Today is day one for the Come Follow Me study for this week, April 20th through the 26th. All that the Lord has spoken, we will do. Exodus 19 through 20, 24, and 31 through 34. Monday, April 20th, 2026, Exodus 19. When children share spiritual experiences, their testimony grows. The questions you ask can encourage your children to share how they feel about the Savior and how living the gospel has blessed them. When they do this, they are bearing testimony. Consider how you can do this as you discuss the blessings that come from living the Ten Commandments. The Lord promised to make Israel a holy nation, and Moses prepared the people to enter into a covenant with him. After hearing the Lord proclaim the Ten Commandments from Mount Sinai, Israel made a covenant to obey them. Although the children of Israel had murmured and wavered in the past, when Moses read the law at the foot of Mount Sinai, they made this covenant. All that the Lord hath said will we do, and be obedient. God then called Moses onto the mountain, telling him to build a tabernacle so that I may dwell among them. But while Moses was at the top of the mountain, learning how the Israelites could have God's presence among them, the Israelites were at the bottom of the mountain making a golden idol to worship instead. Soon after promising to have no other gods, they turned aside quickly from their promise. It was a surprising turn, but we know from experience that faith and commitment can sometimes be overcome by impatience, fear, or doubt. When Moses descended the mountain, he broke the stone tablets and destroyed the golden calf. Because of Israel's sins, the Lord withheld his higher priesthood and ordinances from Israel, giving them instead the preparatory law of Moses. Exodus 19. The Lord covenants to make Israel a peculiar treasure, a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. Exodus 19, 1 through 2. In the third month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. And they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. The book of Exodus refers to Mount Sinai, also called Horeb, as the mountain of God. This was a sacred place where Moses entered the presence of God on at least 3 separate occasions. His great calling as a deliverer, like unto the Messiah, came from the burning bush. Sinai provided the first temple-like experience for the Israelites. It was the location where the Lord gave his law to the children of Israel, and where the Israelites first made covenants with him. Brian Richard said all prophets hope to bring their people into the presence of God. This may be one of Moses' motives. He had met God there. He had hopes to give the people a similarly miraculous experience with the divine, to bring them into the very presence of God. While the people hadn't been perfect up to this point, they were guilty of no great sin. There was some apostasy in Egypt, to be sure, but there was no reason why the Lord's greatest blessings couldn't be given to the Israelites. The time is a time of great hope for Moses. The Israelites remained at Sinai for nearly a year. The events at Sinai are recorded throughout the remainder of Exodus, all of Leviticus, and the first 10 chapters of Numbers. Exodus 19, 3 through 4. And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. While Moses spoke with the Lord at Mount Sinai, the Lord declared his desire to enter into a covenant with Israel. He promised the following significant blessings if Israel would obey his voice and keep his covenant. Exodus 19:5. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Today, the word peculiar is used to mean something different and unusual. Since Israel was to be a peculiar people in this sense also, Exodus 19:5 and similar scriptures are often read in that way. The original word in both Hebrew and Greek, however, means property, wealth, private property which is laid up or reserved. The leading idea is that of select, precious, endeared, something exceedingly prized and diligently preserved. President Russell M. Nelson said the phrase peculiar treasure was translated from the Hebrew segula, meaning a highly valued possession, a treasure. President Russell M. Nelson taught, thus we see that the scriptural term peculiar signifies valued treasure, made or selected by God. For us to be identified by servants of the Lord as his peculiar people is a compliment of the highest order. How do President Nelson's words affect the way you understand Exodus 19, 3-6? Elder Brewster McConkie said, because their numbers were known and the days of their mortal probation were selected in advance, Moses was able to say, when the Most High divided the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. And thus Jehovah said to Israel anciently, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. And thus Peter said to Israel in his day, ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, an holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. And as it was in those days, so it is today. Gathered Israel is now, and everlastingly shall be, a holy nation, a peculiar people, and a kingdom of priests, who minister salvation to the peoples of the world. Israel are the seed of Abraham. They are the children of the prophets, and they associate with the Lord's seers. Israel are the friends of apostles and revelators. They are the children of God by faith. They are the sons and daughters of the Lord Jesus Christ, in whose name they worship the Father. Paul acclaims that they are the ones to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises. They are the nation of whom, as concerning the flesh, Christ came. The prophet Joseph Smith said, when the children of Israel were chosen, with Moses at their head, they were to be a peculiar people, among whom God should place his name. Their motto was, the Lord is our lawgiver. The Lord is our judge. The Lord is our king, and he shall reign over us. While in this state, they might truly say, happy is that people whose God is the Lord. Their government was a theocracy. They had God to make their laws, and men chosen by him to administer them. He was their God, and they were his people. Moses received the word of the Lord from God himself. He was the mouth of God to Aaron, and Aaron taught the people, in both civil and ecclesiastical affairs. They were both one. There was no distinction. So will it be when the purposes of God shall be accomplished. When the Lord shall be king over the whole earth, and Jerusalem his throne, the law shall go forth from Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. This is the only thing that can bring about the restitution of all things spoken of by all the holy prophets since the world was, the dispensation of the fullness of times, when God shall gather together all things in one. Exodus 19:6. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. The phrase kingdom of priests suggests a group of people who have received God's priesthood authority and are responsible for administering the ordinances of the gospel. In the Old Testament, someone or something designated as holy is set apart for God's purposes. Holiness also refers to a person's moral character. Latter-day Revelation clarifies that the Lord had intended for the ordinances of the Melchizedek priesthood to play an important role in the Israelites becoming a kingdom of priests and a holy nation that could behold the face of God. The Lord taught that in the ordinances of the Melchizedek priesthood, the power of godliness is manifest. Without the ordinances of the priesthood and the power of godliness, no man can see the face of God, even the Father, and live. However, because of the children of Israel's hard hearts, the Lord withdrew the Melchizedek priesthood, while the lesser Aaronic priesthood remained. The prophet Joseph Smith spoke of establishing a kingdom of priests in our dispensation that would consist of men and women who had made covenants with God in the house of the Lord. Those who inherit the celestial kingdom are called priests and kings, and queens and priestesses. The prophet Joseph Smith said, "The God of heaven has begun to restore the ancient order of his kingdom unto his servants and his people, a day in which all things are concurring to bring about the completion of the fullness of the gospel, a fullness of the dispensation of dispensations, even the fullness of times. A day in which God has begun to make manifest and set in order in his church those things which have been, and those things which the ancient prophets and wise men desired to see, but died without beholding them. A day in which those things begin to be made manifest, which have been hid from before the foundation of the world, and which Jehovah was promised should be made known in his own due time unto his servants, to prepare the earth for the return of his glory, even a celestial glory, and a kingdom of priests and kings, to God and the Lamb forever, on Mount Zion. And with him the 144,000 whom John the Revelator saw, all of which is to come to pass in the restitution of all things." The prophet Joseph Smith said the saints should be a select people, separate from all the evils of the world, choice, virtuous, and holy. The Lord was going to make of the Church of Jesus Christ a kingdom of priests, a holy people, a chosen generation, as in Enoch's day, having all the gifts as illustrated to the church in Paul's epistles and teachings to the churches in his day. That it is the privilege of each member. Exodus 19, 7-9. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him. And the people answered together and said, "All that the Lord has spoken, we will do." And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Moses, "Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever." And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord. The people sanctify themselves. The Lord told Moses that the children of Israel needed to be prepared before they could meet with God and keep a covenant with him. Exodus 19, 10-15. And the Lord said unto Moses, "Go unto the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and be ready against the third day. For the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves, that ye go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever toucheth the mount shall be surely put to death. There shall not an hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned, or shot through. Whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up to the mount." And Moses went down from the mount unto the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, Be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives. The Lord appears on Mount Sinai amid fire, smoke, and earthquakes. Exodus 19, 16-18. And it came to pass on the third day in the morning, that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of a trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the nether part of the mount. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. Deuteronomy 4. And he came near and stood upon the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire, unto the midst of heaven, with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And the Lord spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. Ye heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, only ye heard a voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. Deuteronomy 5. The Lord talked with you face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire. I stood between the Lord and you at that time, to show you the work of the Lord. For ye were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up into the mount. And ye said, Behold, the Lord our God hath showed us his glory and his greatness, and ye have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that God doth talk with man, and he liveth. Now therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us if we hear the voice of the Lord our God any more. Then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh that hath heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have, and lived? Go thou near, and hear all that the Lord our God shall say, and speak thou unto us all that the Lord our God shall speak unto thee, and we will hear it and do it. And the Lord heard the voice of your words, when ye spake unto me. And the Lord said unto me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken unto thee. They have well said all that they have spoken. Oh, that there was such an heart in them, that they would fear me, and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them, and with their children forever. Elder Neil A. Maxwell said, I testify that the Jehovah introduced by thunderings and lightnings to a gathered Israel at Sinai is the same Jesus who later lamented, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings. I thank him for such repeated reachings out to mankind, whether in phenomenal power or in quiet conversation at a wellside. Exodus 19:19 through 25. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mount, and the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount. And Moses went up. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go down, charge the people, lest they break through unto the Lord to gaze, and many of them perish. And let the priests also, which come near to the Lord, sanctify themselves, lest the Lord break forth upon them. And Moses said unto the Lord, The people cannot come up to Mount Sinai, for thou chargest us, saying, Set bounds about the mount, and sanctify it. And the Lord said unto him, Away with thee down, and thou shalt come up, thou and Aaron with thee. But let not the priests and the people break through to come up unto the Lord, lest he break forth upon them. So Moses went down unto the people and spake unto them. If they had accepted all the privileges offered them, and followed the instructions which would have qualified them to receive the fulfillment of all God's promises, they could have been accorded the grandest of all revelations. He offered to come down in the sight of all the people, and let them hear, when he spoke to Moses, that they might know for themselves about his will and his law, and believe in Moses' future revelations from God, and revere the Lord evermore. Note the need of cleanliness and spiritual dedication in their preparation for this great spiritual experience. At the prearranged signal, the sounding of the trump, exceeding long, the people trembled in anticipation and awe. But apparently they were not fully ready to come up in the sight of the Lord on the mount where Moses was, for the Lord told him to go down and warn them not to come up. Hence, as to why this was so, are found in the next chapter, 20:18 through 19, and in Doctrine and Covenants 84:21 through 25. But even though their hearts were not fully prepared to endure his presence, they did hear the voice and the words of God as the 10 Commandments were given. As will be later seen when we study Moses' review of these great events in his valedictory in Deuteronomy 4:10, 12, 33, 36, and 5:22 through 26. The presentation of the 10 Commandments on the stone tablets is recounted a little later in this narrative, in Exodus 31:18 and 32:15 and 19, and a second set of tablets prepared after the first set were broken and are spoken of in Exodus 34:1.